Hmm. Hello. So I hope you're doing well. This is a late night, quick YouTube, video live stream. But one of the things I wanted to talk with you about really quick is what landscapers can do, and to get another $10,000. Oh, God, we got some feedback. That's not going to be good. Hang on. All right, so we're going to mute that, so we're good. So one of the biggest things is that for landscapers, I actually first business venture I ever did, grown up here in Alabama, and we actually did over about $250,000 in 9 months after partnering up. It was fun, it was amazing, and seeing it come back to life was phenomenal. Now, that being said, there was a lot of overhaul to do. And right now, I mean, in the spring, either landscaping companies are either dying or they're actually going to be thriving. And so they're probably doing, you're probably doing some grass cutting right now, or you're probably, depending on what part of the United States or the world you're in. One of the biggest things is for landscaping companies, for you guys to get sales in right now to build for the next quarter, especially for the summer. Because depending on if you're doing landscaping only and without lawn care, or if you're doing things right now for hardscaping. I mean, it depends. I mean, you guys, there's a couple of classes of landscaping companies with lawn care, with landscaping only or hardscaping. And in hardscaping, you've got concrete, pavers, I mean, the whole 9 yards. And so when it comes down to what you can do right now is we all know about BNI groups. We all know about the different types of things that you can do actually online right now. Even doing like a video like this, it's not hard to actually do this type of video. But if you guys have any comments, drop them down below, because there's a really quick and easy equipment you can get. It doesn't cost much, and you can actually build in routines in your daily. Wow, my hair's a little bit jacked up, but there's different things you can build in your routine daily to optimize your workflow and the stuff that you're doing while you're out there with the crews. Like my dad owned a tree company for about 20 years, and I remember seeing those yellow notepads caked onto his dashboard, and it was insane. But I mean, you talk about stuff where you would pick it up and the page would go, and it would make that noise because there was a sandwich stuck in between it. Been there, done that, seen it, grew up on it. But one of the biggest things for while you're out there with the crews, for one, you got to make sure they're behaving themselves, but also too, making sure that you have the creative eye when you're out there. To be able to whip your phone out and take a video really fast, to actually throw it on Facebook, or throw it on Google My Business, or throw it on YouTube, and just to be able to get content that's out there. Because when it comes down to it, man, this weather's got my sciences acting crazy. But excuse me. Whew. But when it comes down to capturing content, you want to have that work for you, so you don't want to overwhelm yourself either. So you want to make sure that when you're doing things to get the attention of people, to get on their radar, while you're out at the BNI groups, or if you have a sales guy that's out in a BNI group, or if he's going to like a ribbon cutting, whatever the case may be, you want to be able to have online to be able to work for you, but also to have your guys out there on the ground game working. So you want to be able to get on people's radar, to be able to build the trust while you're not there. Because that's what Jeff Bezos said about branding. You know, he said that your brand is what, or I believe it was Richard Branson, one of these older guys. But yeah, he said that your brand is what people talk about when you're not in the room, which is true. Yeah, that's what you want, but you also don't want to go crazy with it. You don't want to have to go buy a $3,000 camera to go out just to get a video. It makes no sense. You got a phone, it works just fine. Because you got to think about online. When you're talking to people belly to belly, you can look into their eyes, you can read their body language, you can see how they're composing themselves. But when it comes down to online, that's tough, because you're so used to being able to talk to people right in front of them. When it comes down to actually creating the content, it's tough because it's a one-way conversation. And that's a thing to be able to power through. And that comes with practice. You know, I've got a student right now where we coached her for about 3 months, and she was afraid to get on camera. Like, we're not afraid, but she was just it was awkward. It was tense. She was like, I don't know what to do, you know? And she is now a co-contributor to a podcast over I believe 30 million monthly female listeners a month. It's insane. But when it comes down to the content, when it comes to landscaping side, she's a coach, she's a business coach, doing stuff with taking companies from 50 million to 100 million, and she's just doing crazy things, I stick in my lane. I'm good at what I do. Oh yeah, and she is fantastic at what she does. But anyways, but shout out to Virginia's Golminas. She is phenomenal. But when it comes down to the landscaping side of stuff, sorry, squirrel. But when it comes, and I just kind of show you that it doesn't matter what the industry is, but it just applies across the board when it comes to guerrilla marketing. But when it comes down to the landscaping side, you want Facebook to work for you. You want YouTube to work for you. You want to be able to have different things work for you while you're actually out there on the job site, closing deals, kissing babies and shaking hands, not shaking babies and kissing hands. That's awkward. That's not what you're supposed to do, right? But when it comes down to creating content, you want to connect with people, and you want to make sure that if you dig yourself in a hole, if you stick your foot in your mouth, whatever, you crack a joke and just recover right back from it, like I did like 5 seconds ago. But like when it comes down to connecting with people online, you just want to be yourself. You don't want to try and muster up something to be something you're not. Because here's a kicker: if you're all smiles and giggles online, and then when they meet you in person, you're like, like it gets awkward really quick. And so you want to, if you're a grouch, and just be real. And that's the kicker. When you're honest, it becomes humorous because you don't have to. Like here's a Duck Dynasty perfect example. Uncle Si, come on. Like you think that he like the dude is just honest and realistic, but also too when it comes down to you being honest with who you are, you don't have to fake it, and it's just consistent, and that's less things to mentally keep track of. And we all know that's but when it comes down to you being able to capture video when you're out there on the job site, have that posted, grab the video. If it's even just with your phone, you can grab it really quick. Take maybe 2 minutes to go ahead and just walk through what the guys are doing on the job site. Keep people updated. Do progress, progression. Each week is a new update. Fantastic. And then you can actually hire a team like mine or somebody that you have in-house if you have a graphic designer or a video editor. And that way that video that you do, just walking through, not even thinking about it, have somebody edit it, schedule it on social media, create an actual strategy around where it'll actually be strategic in scheduling phone calls for you, and then have them map that out. And you can have a full-on engine, just by walking through the job site. And then next thing you know, you're just walking through a BNI group or anything like that, and people are like, I just saw the project. That was really cool. That's amazing. And next thing you know, you have conversation starters, boom, right there, and reasons for people to start talking to you about the projects. That's exactly what you want. And that's all you need. Because the thing is, when they come to you, it's on your terms, and you can actually make sure you fulfill the orders, but also, too, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, right? You don't want to be like the guy who goes to the gym for 6 years and skips leg day every single time. It just looks really weird. It's like stick legs with, like this on top of it. It just looks really funny. It just doesn't work out really well. It's like Mr. Krabs. So, but when it comes down to being able to have the fulfillment, the manpower to actually sustain the sales, that's equally as important as generating the sales. So you don't want to get too top heavy and implode, because what happens if you grow extremely fast, you have to make sure, one, your automation, your systems are in place, and two, your manpower is in place, and also two, your equipment. Oh my gosh. How many times do we rent equipment, and then when I easily get a credit line, boom, for a fraction of the cost, bite the bullet just for a little bit, get that puppy in there, get it on a really nice, like 3% financing credit line. Dude, be good, smooth as buttermilk, and you're rock solid. And that's where you start to, as these sales come in naturally, because all you got to do is get the buzz out there, get on people's radar, and it entices them to actually get on the phone call with you. It's amazing. And so depending on what social media, if you see this on Facebook, or if you see this on Instagram, if you see it on YouTube, if you're seeing this anywhere, that's what's amazing, is that being able to really dial it in for all sides of the marketing, of also for the workflow. You and I both know that workflow is going to make it or break it, because logistics are everything. And so it's crazy, because a lot of times people just don't really get it when it comes down to marketing, when it comes down to actually dialing it in. Because if you're over here, if you're sinking your teeth into something that's getting fast money right now, but not long-term sustainability, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. And that's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that you've actually got things in place for your long-term growth. Because if you're going to sacrifice your priorities to build a business, what are you really building? Let's be honest. You started this business so you could actually have time for your family, or like maybe the family that you're planning. Like for me, I'm planning to get married this year. Like I'm not building this business in a box type of thing for landscapers just so I can overwhelm myself and not have time for the thing I cherish the most. You know, apart from God, my soon to be wife. This kind of stuff is not to play around with. And I remember when my parents divorced when I was 10 years old. I literally remember this, like it was like night and day when my parents divorced when I was 10 years old. My mom did the books for my dad. So I remember the difference when you see a team working together and they break. And that's where you have to, like, I'm not saying that's going to happen to anybody watching this or whatever, but when it comes down to being able to really, truly build out a solid business, you have to have a lot of these moving pieces in place so that way your profit margins are healthy, right? Yeah, that's where you want to make sure that when it comes down to building out the infrastructure that you can actually grow with you, it's important to be able to understand you've got what you have in front of you. So we have to be resourceful. We have to be strategic. You have to think about everything when it comes down to your numbers. Like, do the numbers make sense? Because my dad, he didn't recover from it. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was 18, but that's when, I had worked with him for about 6 years, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot of good stuff, bad stuff, reverse engineered a lot of the bad stuff. But when it comes down to, when you get to talking a lot, your lips start to become like sandpaper. And so, anyways, excuse me. And yes, it's 7 o'clock at night. I'm drinking a bang drink. Don't judge me. But when it comes down to being able to have the infrastructure to grow, I remember seeing what happened when my dad did not have that. And it was heartbreaking. It truly was. It was tough because when I sat back and watched, and if you guys are watching, let me know where you're watching from if you happen to tune in, because one of the biggest things for building a business when it comes to a landscaping business, it's not just generating leads. It's not just being able to connect with people on the video side of it. It's not just going to the networking events. You have to make sure that you've got your taxes in line. You have to make sure that you've got all of your profit margins. Your ICPI training. If you're doing a hardscaping, do you have a relationship with the Bellegarde rep? I've got my Bellegarde rep out of Birmingham right now. His name's Will. Fantastic guy. And when it comes down to over here, I got my music playing over here. I think it's probably playing from my earbuds. But when you have these relationships and you can work with people that are actually designated right in their fields of what they're supposed to be doing on all sides of it too. Think about also too, like being able to have an entire system for yourself. These are the things that I remember while working with my dad. I remember taking apart remotes and wishing I had a soldering iron to be able to Frankenstein something together. That would be pretty cool. But I remember having all this stuff sit in front of me, and I just wish I had the capability to make these tools for my dad. It's interesting because that's part of being able to combine. I've combined these different systems for you with the background in the landscaping industry. Like when we did over $250,000 in 9 months from zero, that right there, and off of that momentum, he was able to, being able to off of that momentum in those 9 months, he was able to have enough sustainability to position to where his sons are able to take over the company. He's now retired. He's going to be in my Grisman lineup this coming year, and it's amazing because I played my part, and now it's like, why not be able to, when working with local to enterprise companies, putting automations, bringing in, like $10,000 off of a $500 offer out of this ground zero, just coming up with different odds and ends of things and working with service industries and IP products and being able to really gamify a lot of different things. And that's why there's going to be a link actually in below, and this is where we're talking about gamifying the landscaping industry. Imagine a system that you were able to actually just deploy pre-filled content. You don't have to really think about a lot of stuff. A lot of your mail-out campaigns when you're doing a job in the neighborhood is already pre-programmed, scheduled out. Logistics are covered, but also your content is scheduled. But also, too, your content is in conjunction with also your city, but also, too, with driving in leads, phone calls, qualified phone calls. but also too being able to give these people something. You got to give your audience something to work with, just to binge watch, to be able to go through and digest, and have your own gated community where people can actually connect with you. And like that's the kind of stuff that, and this is going to be a Landscaper Discount Club, and it's going to be sellinghardscapes.com/Landscaper Discount Club. It's a lot. That's why it's going to be in the chat. But one of the coolest things, being able to put together this true business in a box. Like if you don't have training on hardscaping and you want that, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. And so you have to make sure that your crews are trained. You have to weigh out the pros and the cons of hiring somebody, in-house versus subcontracting it. And also, I mean, there's look at the politics of it. Look at the different opportunities in your economy that's in your own backyard. Like there are so many different things to consider when it comes to getting ready for different things, for stepping into from residential to doing different different scales of jobs. Can you take on 1 to 3 jobs in a month and get them done? How long does it take you to get them done? Like looking at how can you cram in more jobs in less time, but sustain it and keep a healthy culture in your company, because it's not just about you anymore. It's all about the person who's going to take it over and actually be able to truly be your predecessor. Because if this thing dies, or even build it for an exit, when it comes down to looking at your profit margins, like are you running yourself ragged? Like, let's be honest, lawn care, it's meant for like a certain stage in the landscaping business, and meant to be handed off. Unless you build really, really wide on landscaping and double down on it, and get your systems down, it's just very high maintenance. And being able to position even too, if you have a passion for it. A lot of people don't have a passion for it. They get into it to get started and then phase into landscaping completely and stay there, or they do that as a bridge to get into hardscaping. Hey, everyone's got their passion, but it's all about understanding what kind of logistics you need to put in position for that. Are you able to get your crews in place? Are you able to actually spill the brick? That's not good. But are you able to get your crews in place and get everything in position so that way you can grow at a healthy rate and not at a rate that's going to cut yourself off at the knees? Because you got to think down the road, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Think in the terms of annual terms. Like what if I get three full-blown landscaping job makeovers? Am I going to be able to fulfill them within 3 months? How long is it going to take you to do that? You got to think about the plants. You got to think about the mulch. You got to think about the rehab part of it too. You got to look at all the time it's going to take. Is it going to take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days? On average, how long does it take you? Like, these are the things you have to consider while actually walking through that. But also the marketing has got to be able to feed that, but also help you sustain it, so you don't feel like you're having to get calloused lips from drinking around a fire hose. And so it's very important to be able to have the sustainability and also the infrastructure to grow. Because if you don't have the infrastructure to grow, a lot of times you're going to bite off more than you can chew, but also too, you're going to actually put more on your guys and cause them to quit. That's also another challenge, and let's be real, that's not one you can avoid, okay? Because that is something that I remember that growing up working with my dad. My gosh, dude, I kid you not, it was like a revolving door, and good people are hard to come by when it comes to the landscaping industry. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about them as well when building systems out. Are you bringing in leads for your sales team? Is it a one-man sales guy, 3 guys, 2 guys, 1 guy, 4 guys, however many? Are the foremen sometimes pick up the phone? That can get pretty crazy sometimes. That's talk about it for a stressed phone call or a really fast phone call, or a very, what's a good word to put for it? Tight phone call. You get what I'm saying. Very antsy phone call. And that happens a lot. Oh my gosh. And so it's just a matter of actually having a system in place to qualify people, connect with them, build a relationship with them while optimizing your time. And so being able to build it around your team. It's building around the vision that's inside of you, that's burning inside of you, that's just beating at the inside of your chest to get out. It's all about being able to build the system around that and actually having a clear understanding about this industry and actually knowing what people want and knowing what people need and having it already built out for you. So it is turnkey. So that way, once we get into it, we're going to build, I say once we get into it, because this is a passion of mine when it comes to this industry that I think is incredibly underserved. It's not just SEO. It's actually taking it from the guts of your business and actually driving it to where, when it comes to qualified leads, driving in 10 to 15 qualified leads a month minimum, and looking at the kind of jobs you want. Do you want to actually look at your close rate too? Because your close rate also is important. I'm not over here going to shove a whole bunch of leads over to you and you're just terrible at closing. Come on. And that's what Zig Ziglar said. If you guys follow Zig Ziglar at all, you and I both know this. As Zig Ziglar said, timid salesmen have skinny kids. And it's interesting because whenever you're able to build a relationship with people, you are granted permission to actually to push them on their vision. It doesn't come across as aggressive. It can come across as aggressive. And that's where it's just all about people not caring about what you know until they know that you care. And that's it. And so when it comes down to equipping people, there's a very cool strategy. And these are things that you can take right now and apply right now. Like the video and everything, if you're catching this right now, the last half of it, rewind and go back through it, because one of the biggest things is that you can go and do, this is free. Try it. Let me know how it works. The biggest thing is your most valuable asset is time. So if this works, you don't have the time to train somebody unless you do have someone in your team. And then there's memberships and stuff we've got available as well. But when it comes down to having a turnkey system, it makes your life 10 times easier. And being able to guarantee, I don't care if the internet dies tomorrow. Getting additional $50,000 in your bottom line, and within a year of sticking with me on this stuff, the internet could die tomorrow and could still add 50 grand to your bottom line. Very simple ways to do stuff, and it's not complicated, and it's not rocket science. It works every time, and it's something that it just gets easier as time goes by, because technology improves. The gizmos and the gadgets become funner. And it's amazing, because when it comes down to you creating more time for your priorities, that's what matters. Not a fad, not the next, hey, look at this chatbot. Chatbots do work. They make a lot of money from. That's not all that goes into it. Not a Facebook ad, not just a Facebook ad, not just a landing page, not just an email sequence, text messages, mail outs. Heck, even embroiders on your shirts. Making sure your logo, everything from your vision up here and in your heart, all line up for one, in your head and in your heart. That first lines up. But also, too, making sure that everything that's translated in digital speaks your language. It speaks you. It speaks the brand. It speaks the mission. Because that way you can align with the right people in the marketplace and actually be able to hook arms with people. Because if you don't, you and I both know that not every opportunity is a good opportunity. Let's just be real, because if you've been in business at any point in time, sorry, my nose is super dry, and if I'm picking my nose, man, it's all good. But when it comes down to the opportunities, not all money is good money, right? And not every partnership is a good partnership. And you want to make sure that you are deeply rooted in your mission, so that way, and also your systems mirror that, so that way you can actually stick to it. And any kind of momentum you gain, it's not going to be in vain. No vain gain. But also too, it's a strategic momentum, and being able to actually push down that path that you actually call to walk in with your purpose, and making sure that whatever is planned for that path, whatever God's got planned for you, you can do a lot of stuff with it. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. And so anyway, so that being said, I'm going to get off of here. But if you have any questions, you can catch this replay somehow, some way, form, or fashion, drop your comments, any kind of questions in the comments. And check out any kind of the components of what I talked about. The transcription is going to be in the comments, also too available in the back end of the membership. If you go through the membership, create your own account, the transcription of this video will be in the back end of it. But also too, if you have any questions, I look forward to connecting with you in the comments. I'll actually personally reply back to them. I'm not going to have a VA reply back. I will personally reply back to them because I want to dig down deep with you on any kind of questions you've got and actually help you understand and wrap your mind around a lot of stuff, because a lot of the stuff, you're skilled at your craft, you're good with your hands, you're good with the dirt, and now with the online. You know, dirt over digital, right? But when it comes down to you being able to really dig down into the roots of why you started this, where you need to go to, I can't wait to connect with you. I really can't wait to, because I don't think I need to say that it's personal. So I can't wait to hear your vision, your heart, not even to where you're watching from. I hope this helped out. But hopefully you can take what you learned here, even to just about, like, even with the videos and posting it online, but being able to create different types of content, ripping it up, and being able to be strategic with it. But with that being said, go to the link that's in the comments with this video and actually just go through and check it out. Just go create a free demo account. A lot of stuff that's in there, a lot of it's placeholder content in there as well. You'll get the idea. And you'll be able to have a turnkey solution just for yourself as well, with all the content built out in a way that's going to gamify your local community and create long-term lasting customers and champions for the referrals. Because you're going to have both of those referrals where the money's at, right? So looking forward to connecting with you. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'm excited to get to know you. And I'm going to cut this off and see where it goes from there. Let's go ahead.